This hearing today was for the Secretary of Defense, not the Secretary of Feel-Good or the Secretary of Diversity or the Secretary of Equity. This hearing today was for a position about winning wars. This is about who is going to oversee our nuclear stockpiles, thousands of fighter jets, and 2 million people trained to shoot bad guys. Who might decide whether or not we launch a drone strike that eliminates someone's entire family tree on this planet? Real decisions in a real world against real people who want to kill us. But you would think Democrats were like interviewing the future HOA president or their daughter's therapist or something stupid. Most of the Democrats' dissent was about an affair or alcohol or has he ever overseen enough people, and that he was not qualified.
Mr. Hegseth, I do not believe that you are qualified to meet the overwhelming demands of this job.
So what are the qualifications to be SecDef? Lloyd Austin had all the qualifications the Democrats are alluding to. And what happened? As a general, he wrote the withdrawal plan for Iraq that created ISIS. Then, a few years later, 97 senators voted to confirm him as the Secretary of Defense. And what happened there? Oh, right. He messed up the Afghanistan withdrawal. The Democrats were not being serious. They were focused on personal attacks. So Senator Mark Wayne Mullen said what needed to be said.
In general, the U.S. Secretary of Defense position is filled by a civilian. That's it. And yet your own secretary that you all voted for, Secretary of Austin, we had to vote on a waiver because he stepped off the board of Raytheon. Senator from Virginia starts bringing up the fact that what if you showed up drunk to your job? How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? And don't tell me you haven't seen it, because I know you have. And then how many senators do you know have got a divorce before cheating on their wives?
Any senator want to answer that? No? I thought not. But you'll continue to throw stones from your glass houses. You know what the number one thing that almost every Democrat was concerned with today? His stance on women in combat.
I have many concerns about your record, and particularly your public statements, because they are so hurtful to the men and women who are currently serving in the U.S. military, harmful to morale, harmful to good order and discipline.
Oh, they're hurtful. This shows me that you, Senator, fundamentally do not understand the mission of the Pentagon. I don't care about your feelings. You know what is hurtful? Kids growing up without a father because someone couldn't carry them off the battlefield because people like you were more concerned about the color of someone's skin or their gender or some other diversity quota to make you feel good in your nice, warm Democrat office. Real quick, Gillibrand, if you're taken hostage, do you want people like me coming to get you, or do you want the super diverse female fire chief from LA that can't put out fires? And if you say you want her, you are lying. I happen to agree that I don't think women in combat is a fantastic idea. I'm sorry, and that I'm not sorry. And I would venture to say that most women don't want to be in combat also. I know this because no women I have ever spoken to has ever said, yeah, like sign me up for combat. But you know what else I know? Because I've been in combat, that I don't want somebody who has lower standards fighting next to me.
What is true is that the weight of the ruck on your back doesn't change. The weight of the .155 round that you have to carry doesn't change. The weight of the .240 Bravo machine gun you might have to carry doesn't change. And so whether it's a man or a woman, they have to meet the same high standards.
Yes. And if you think he's wrong, if you think women currently have equal standards and would perform equally in combat, then you explain to me why this is the U.S. Army physical standards. Why are they different between men and women? As a female or as a male, I need to do 73 push-ups for my age group to have a perfect score. But as a female, I only need to do 40. So, senators, if women are equal and can do equal things, why aren't there equal standards? That's what Pete is talking about here. And you guys have totally missed the point. Yes, it was a woman who found Osama bin Laden. And you know what she didn't do? She didn't actually get on that op that slapped an ECT charge on his door and then shot him in the face. Why? Well, here's a reason. They opened Navy SEAL pipelines to women. You know how many women made it through? 0. Because women are not physically equal. I'm not knocking women. That's just a fact. You guys can't even decide gender on your own. How many women are linemen in the NFL? Like, what is it, less than, firefighters, 10% of firefighters are women, male powerlifters. They deadlift on average more than 100% more than women. Why are Democrats constantly pushing these arbitrary standards when diversity is not our best qualification, but rather achievement is? This is exactly why Trump won and why he nominated Pete Hegseth, because he understands this. So if you're going to sacrifice our lethality because you want some female quota, that's why Pete Hegseth didn't meet with you, as many of you complained about.
As you can imagine, I was disappointed when no one ever followed up. When we followed up with your office, you were not able to meet.
I made repeated requests to meet with you prior to this meeting. I know many of my other colleagues also wanted to meet with you, and yet I could never get a meeting with you.
So what? A lot of senators also had complaints about Pete Hegseth not being fiscally responsible for financial decisions that were made mostly by a board that he answered to at his nonprofits.
That isn't the kind of fiscal management we want at the Department of Defense. We can't tolerate it at the Department of Defense.
Can we just back up a sec here? This is coming from a body of senators that have landed us in $36 trillion of debt. I mean, spare me your virtue signal, especially from the guy who lied about being in Vietnam. I mean, give me a break. And Mazie Hirono, the senator from Hawaii, wanted to know about his stance on abortion.
Current DoD policy allows service members and eligible dependents to be reimbursed for travel associated with non-covered reproductive health care, including abortions. Will you maintain this common sense policy?
This is common sense. That's what you care about? Terrorists coming across the border in record droves, Iran screaming death to America, like China and Russia building up nuclear arsenals beyond what they've ever had before. And you're worried about abortions, about DoD personnel traveling to other states and funding abortions? What are we doing here? One senator even brought up the Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which was repealed like a decade and a half ago, saying, oh, it hurt recruiting for the military. And they're worried that Pete was going to reinstate that, which he said many times he's not going to do. Either this person doesn't understand what's going on now, or they're just willfully ignorant or stupid. Because since they started letting drag queens like waltz down the decks of aircraft carriers, morale is down, recruiting is down, and our capability is way down. So maybe they should be less concerned about the military as a social experiment and more concerned about how to defend against the drones flying over New Jersey. Pete made a phenomenal point today, too.
We won World War II with 7 four-star generals. Today we have 44 four-star generals. There's an inverse relationship between the size of staffs and victory on the battlefield. We don't need more bureaucracy at the top. We need more warfighters empowered at the bottom. So it's going to be my job working with those that we hire and those inside the administration to identify those places where fat can be cut so it can go toward lethality.
Yes, finally somebody who gets it. Damn right. Most of those generals and admirals, by the way, have never had lead fly by their head either. The general pattern, Republicans asked questions that actually mattered to running the Pentagon, and Democrats were just interested in making Pete the bad guy. This is supposed to be about how he will lead the Pentagon. This job is about killing bad guys and breaking their stuff, and the political willpower to tell senators worried about female quotas and abortions to pound sand. And I think he did that today. The libs can whine all they want about Pete not meeting with him. They weren't going to vote for him anyway. That's why he didn't bother. And when he's confirmed, I hope he doesn't listen to them then either. And that's why I like him.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.